Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, along with our coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Perfect start to the season in September. Couple of uncleared hurdles in October, but what a November to remember for the Nittany Lions.
Well, you got 4 teams that everybody felt like, hey, we're going to beat them. You know what? And you did it. And what else are you going to do? And people can complain about who they didn't beat. But, at the end of the day, 10-2, strong season and a good season to build on.
You can only beat who you play, whoever they put in front of you, and they did it.
And they did it soundly, and it results in a number 8 seeding in the college football playoff. So an emotional senior day, strong finish to cap off the regular season, and the turnovers serve as a turbo boost in our opening drive. All right, so here it is, guys. Senior day, obviously emotional for Sean Clifford, who had been through this before, but he said once he saw his brother, he got choked up a little bit. But these days, what do they mean to you guys? You see this stuff as players. It's emotional all the way around, isn't it?
Well, when you come to Penn State and you play and you put on that uniform and then you realize it's the last time you can come out of that tunnel in that uniform, that's the one thing about college football. I mean, there's a defined ending. In the NFL, you might sign, you might go elsewhere, but in college football, if you spend 4 years someplace, it's emotional, no question about it.
You never think the day's going to come. When you start, you're like, it's never good. The season goes by, you go, he's going. Then it's your turn, and you come out of that tunnel for the last time. Believe me, you remember it.
Yeah, and as coaches, you guys get to see these guys get older and older. They come to you as high school seniors, and they're just done that. And these guys really do grow up in state college. It's never easy for them to say goodbye.
Once we got back in the locker room, we all were talking about just locking in. Let's make sure we take care of business. And then probably it didn't hit me until after the last touchdown, and I started to really feel it.
Throughout the day, I was like trying to avoid that. I was thinking like just another game. And it really didn't hit me until the final buzzer, The clock turned 000, and I'm just looking around like, whoa, like that's 5 years. That's crazy.
It feels like yesterday we just saw you get your coffee at Big Ten Media Days with Teague and Sean. I mean, that just goes to show you how fast this thing rolls through.
Time flies, man. You never understand it till it actually is here, and it's here. So it's taking it all in, man, trying to enjoy every moment because, that hourglass is running out.
And here's a nice bonus. The seniors get to carry out the Land Grant Trophy after the win against the Spartans.
Well, they almost spoiled the day. I mean, the one thing about a trophy you're worried about, hope nobody pulls the back or something, or
especially that
vertebrae comes out. But, Michigan State, as we thought, would come out and play really hard. And, going to that fourth quarter, the game was in play. They were doing a nice job. And then, Penn State put them away down the stretch as they needed to.
And that's what they played. I thought they played a heck of a football game because Michigan State's a good football team. And they played aggressive. And then the defense got great, got the turnovers, and things start to roll.
Yeah, Jay, the game was in doubt. Abdul Carter had a nice performance, especially in the fourth quarter. And then this play was really pivotal, 4th down and short. They could have kicked the field goal to go up 8. Coach says, nope, we're going to go for it. And they get the touchdown to Nick Singleton. Now, as we come back, let's talk about the turnover situation. And you mentioned the plus-minus is really, really important. Jay, talk about how the turnovers have served as kind of that turbo boost for the offense and really for the entire team.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we get the scouting report, how Penn State really jumped up in terms of points per game and where that comes from. And a lot of that came from the turnovers, especially these last 4 weeks. You had 21 points off turnovers against Rutgers, 14 against Michigan State. And if you don't get those 14 points, that's down to the wire all the way.
Yeah,
and it changes how you call the game, too.
Yeah.
When you get those turnovers and you get those scores, now it's you get a little breathing room. You can call a different game on offense.
It's been a point of emphasis, Tom, all season long. But it's one thing to give it a point of emphasis, but it's another to go out and execute it.
They come in batches. It's funny. You don't get them, and bam, you get a bunch of them. And they sure got a lot of them in November.
All right, let's get to our scrap metal. So, Parker Washington out for the year. Who's going to step up to fill the void? Against Michigan State, it's Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yeah, Keandre Lambert-Smith, the young man from Norfolk, Virginia, Murray High School, had 5 catches for 83 yards. He also threw a touchdown pass of 48 yards. Remember, he was a quarterback in high school. It's his second pass completion of the season. His 131 yards total offense was more than he had in Penn State's last 9 games combined.
Yeah, and they remembered he was a quarterback in high school. Coach was impressed with his throwing skills.
I thought it was a big-time throw. mean, that was a big-time throw. He made somebody in his face and just laid that thing out in stride. And then obviously going down and making the big, touchdown reception was big for us as well. So he's got a ton of ability, and, I'm really excited about the next step for him.
And here's my favorite part of his day. After he both throws and catches a touchdown pass, Keandre has enough energy to do some gymnastics in full uniform after the game. And then coach comes by and says, yeah, I see you. A fun and unforgettable day for number one. Still to come, our scouting report is full of self-evaluation. Some of the notable changes that helped lead the Nittany Lions to a double-digit win total. Coming up, you're watching Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are Inn, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit theweareinn.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
We are back on Nittany Game Week. Next opponent, TBD, to be determined. Until we find out who's next, we can look back and say what happened in the previous 12 games. We turn to our experts, Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, for a healthy exercise of self-evaluation. And guys, it's important to be honest with yourself and the staff while looking back at the body of your work during the regular season to say this worked, while other things we tried are still a work in progress.
Yeah, let's take a look at what some of the things. We'll talk offense this week, defense next week. So let's take a look at some of the things Penn State changed offensively. If you look at them, the biggest improvement, points per game and in rushing. One of those things, the points per game, is 104 points off turnovers and another 7 points off special teams. That's over a quarter of the points they scored for the year. And then they ran the ball 14% more than they did a year ago, so that creates that jump. Some other notable stats that you want to look at, the number of sacks in just 2 years has gone down by half. The plays per game, they're a little bit less than they were a couple years ago. Time of possession, though, much improved from a year ago, so that's important. How do they get that done, Tom? And let's talk about it. It starts with the run game that was, as we mentioned, really made a jump in terms of statistically.
Everything starts with the run game.
Yep.
And they did a great job getting their run game in sync with their pass game, too.
Yeah. More of what we call man blocking schemes where you're blocking down, pulling people, creating gaps, and inserting people here to block a corner, here to block a linebacker, and then you got your safety one-on-one. Let's take a look how this worked out. You'll see the tight end attack with the top really wash this thing down. The guard and the center pull, kick out, and there's Singleton one-on-one with the safety, which you got to like that. You'd like to see him score in this one, but let's not nitpick.
Okay, we'll take the 30 yards.
Yeah, we'll take the 30. Next play, we'll talk about now. 23 personnel. We talked about personnel on some of our bonus content. We've got both freshman tailbacks in the game and 3 tight ends, and you're in a bunch set up here where everybody's in here for a short yardage play, Tom. And it seems like as the year went on, people kind of caught in onto it a little bit.
They did, but when you have tight ends that can do what they can do, and also you can put them out wide, it creates, how do you substitute? What's your substitution package?
Yeah, and here's a 3rd and 2. Michigan State's on it. They get it. So we go to the next play. How do you account for that now? Now you have the same personnel. Tight end, tight end, tight end. 13 and 10, your 2 backs here. And now you shift them out, and Michigan State's got the same personnel, and they can't match up, and now you throw a screen out there.
Yeah, because your linebacker's got to go out and play in space.
Yep.
And they're obviously not adapted doing that. That's a bad lineup. They don't have numbers or leverage.
And a little bit of a hold there at the end, but we'll take that. Take a look at the isolation. You'll really see. Anytime you want to complain about the officials, sometimes you get calls like this and you get away with it. Again, now, another thing that they can do with that same personnel group. Again, 2 backs, 3 tight ends, tight end, tight end, tight end, number 13, number 10, they motion them across, fake that little jet screen to them, half roll, throw the tight end coming back across.
Once again, when your tight ends can line up and play wide out too, there's a lot of different things you can hit them with.
Yep, and here, nice job. And again, same play that they that Ohio State scored on Penn State. Always want to see if you can steal some things from your opponents, and they did. Nice job here, big touchdown against Rutgers. Now, let's talk about the Big Ten in general. Michigan has really kind of changed the calculus of how you win this league. They've gone to more power run game, and how have they done it? Let's take a look at the full screen. If you look at them a couple years ago, 29 rushes per game, that's up to 44. Time of possession is up. Offensive plays per game is up. But Tom, for you, defensive plays go from 78 a game 2 years ago to just 60.
It's awesome when that happens. You're
Yes.
not on the field as much. And the thing I love about what Michigan done, it's old school football. It's power, it's G scheme, it's downhill.
And let's take a look at one of those runs right here from last Saturday. You got them coming down there, doubling up to the linebackers, kicking this thing out, and here comes the tailback behind them. Can you run the ball when they know you're going to run the ball? That's when you know you're great at it. Well, let's take a look at it. And here you go. They have got it blocked. Ohio State's got a bunch of guys in the box. He splits that thing and goes 85, and that basically kills the game.
Well, Ohio State was playing a lot of zero coverage, too, trying to stop it. And when that splits, not good.
Well, you know who's always good for a big gainer is Todd Sadowski. And back over to you, Todd.
Oh, I love it. Thank you very much. Great job, guys. And, you know, Purdue emerges down the stretch in the Big Ten West Division, faces Michigan for the conference title. Not one ranked team in the entire division this year. They need some momentum, and a pair of schools complete some big-time coaching hires. Now, both guys have deep ties to the Big Ten. Matt Rule played and coached at PSU. He lands in Omaha as a new coach for the Cornhuskers, a still proud program in a rut. He receives an 8-year deal to get Big Red moving in the right direction. Then Luke Fickles played and coached at Ohio State. He departs Cincinnati to return to his Big Ten roots. Fickle takes over at Wisconsin. The hire should give the West Division a much-needed boost. Now, Matt has some not-so-fond memories of Nebraska from his playing days.
Fast forward to 1994 and walked on at Penn State and found a way to find some ways to get on the team and play. And we had an undefeated season in the Big Ten, beat Oregon 38-6. And Nebraska went out and played University of Miami and beat them. And once again, there were tears in my eyes as we finished without a national championship.
Yeah, still leaves a bitter taste for a lot of people. And check this out. We dug up some video from Coach Rule getting the Temple job 10 years ago. Nittany Lions don't play Nebraska or Wisconsin next season. Time to take a break. When we come back, our impact interview with former Nittany Lions and NFL offensive lineman Garry Gilliam. You have to hear how he's using his Penn State connections to contribute to his community in Harrisburg. Fascinating conversation with Garry's coming up when Nittany Game Week returns.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back. Time for our impact interview and talk about a well-rounded person. Making the most of his life experiences, he came to Penn State in 2009 from the Milton Hershey School. During his career, he played positions on both sides of the ball. After his time with the Nittany Lions, he competed in the NFL and played in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. But it's after his football career that's really fascinating. He's currently the CEO of The Bridge with the goal of building eco-villages and creating opportunities with buildings that go from business to education to living. Really been looking forward to this. Garry Gilliam, welcome to Nittany Game Week.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Look, your life's trajectory was certainly impacted by the Milton Hershey School and Penn State. Can you talk a little bit about how those places helped mold you to become the man and the leader that you have become today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Milton Hershey School itself, founded by the great chocolatier Milton Hershey, and he committed his company's wealth, essentially, and his family's wealth to marginalized and unfortunate, situations. So I'm a product of one of those, donations, if you will. And Milton Hershey School itself has a model called the whole child approach, where they really promoted us and prompted us to be more than just athletes or more than just scholars, but they also promoted, wanted us to be actors. They taught us how to play piano and guitar. They just wanted us to be well-rounded individuals. And at the core of it, Milton Hershey really knew that the skills pay the bills. So they taught us trades before we left. So beyond just being athletes, scholars, we all also then got certified in trades as well.
Well, we talk about today. Today, you're the CEO of The Bridge, a really innovative concept in urban redevelopment that is unique in that it benefits the people who already live in these urban areas. So for those who are not as familiar with your project, talk a little about the concept, how it came to you, and how they can get involved.
Yeah, so at Penn State, I triple majored in business, PR and advertising, and psychology. And in business school, they taught us to identify a point of pain and to solve it with a product, a good, or a service. So through college, through my professional career, I was identifying different points of pain and writing up full business plans to really solve them. Now, some of those points of pains were things like lack of affordable housing and food deserts and disparities in education and things like that, which are pretty massive, problems to try and solve for. Homelessness. But as I went through my professional career and then played in Seattle and played in San Francisco, I saw a lot of homeless people, right? And I thought back to where I grew up in Hershey, and I couldn't remember ever seeing a homeless person. So it again took me kind of back to why aren't more corporations investing intentionally in the infrastructure of their communities, much like Hershey did. Beyond creating this chocolate factory, we created places to work, eat, live, learn, and play. And those are the same 5 branches for the bridge. So the idea is we look for these dilapidated properties like schools, malls, warehouses, shopping centers, and we convert them into what we call eco-villages, really just a fancy way of saying a mixed-use development. And we've seen those around where there's a coffee shop down below and a few housing units above it. But take that and kind of times it by 10. So we take these old schools, put in housing units, educational spaces, office spaces, restaurants. We do urban farming. So really kind of like a 15-minute city, and everything you could ever really want is right there and you don't really have to leave. So we're working on one currently in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And we have a pipeline in Pittsburgh, Erie, Williamsport, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Newark. I've got a lot of interest over in Kenya, in Zambia, and Nigeria as well. So these things are expanding rapidly.
Hey, Garry, it's great to see you. You came to Penn State as a tight end and defensive end. As a defensive coach, I need to know why you would choose to play offense over defense and then choose to move from tight end to tackle.
Well, the switch from defense to offense was definitely plotted by Coach Kenny. And I never, when I was over there on the red squad, or I guess the white squad, it was our scout team as a defensive end, he would pull me over and have me do tight end drills. I don't know if y'all knew about that, but he was kind of.
No, we didn't.
Getting it ready soon.
A lot of good stories about those guys fighting for your services, Garry, that's for sure. Well, look, and you talk a lot about overcoming adversity from going to the Milton Hershey School, fighting through an injury, having to compete to make the team, start for the Seahawks. You never had the easy path. So in a time when young people are facing big challenges in so many areas, what lessons do you get to try and share with them from your experiences?
Man, that's a great tee up and a great question. I like that. Shoot, a skilled sailor is not made on calm waters, right? And anytime I go back and talk to, especially kids from Milton Hershey School or kids that are in these marginalized communities, I like to tell them that the adversities, the hardships that they're going through are actually crafting them to be better sailors in the future, right? The family situations, the environments that they're in, it's really crafting them. When you get out into the real world, you're used to being punched in the chin and you can respond back, in a pretty productive way as long as you know how to gear that energy the right way. And that's kind of the message that I like to get out there for people. Like, as tough as it is now, especially with globally going through COVID and all the different things that we've all had to handle, off of that, we've all gone through with some adversities. And I do believe we're all kind of in a blur as we come out of this, but it's a perfect time to change, right? And kind of do better, right? Because I do believe that we can't go back to normal, right? Because normal was really the problem. So this is a good opportunity for us to adjust halftime, right? Go and make some changes, make a couple audibles at the line, right? Go be successful. So I think that this is the time that we're in. I think people really feel it. And I'm really excited for the future, in all honesty.
Another former Nittany Lions player doing amazing things in his community after his playing career. Always enjoy catching up with Garry. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. If you want to see the entire conversation with former Milton Hershey, Penn State, and NFL player Garry Gilliam, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview along with other web-exclusive content. And still to come, playoffs. We're talking about playoffs, the kind that could land you on the Happy Valley cruise. It's the Pride Picks playoffs as Nittany Lions fans show off their spirit. More details on the format just ahead. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week. I know there are still wrinkles to smooth out when it comes to the new expanded playoff format. However, that said, imagine a whiteout playoff game in Beaver Stadium as the Nittany Lions host Clemson in the first round of the college football playoffs. Sign me up for it. Would be an electric atmosphere and a huge home field advantage for the blue and white. They're still working out the kinks, but I really like the concept, guys.
get some of these teams to come up north in November. Let's see how it goes. I think, guys, what's not to like?
Yeah, would be really, really cool to see
Really
something
good,
like that.
especially around 0 temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. Those southern teams, they don't want to make those trips north, but it would be the Horseshoe, Beaver Stadium, the Neyland Stadium, and just amazing, amazing venues if they get this thing off the ground. Okay, so we don't have Penn State playing. We got a lot of stuff to look for this weekend.
Well, the USA is playing at 10 a.m. thanks to
Hershey's Christian Pulisic from Chocolatetown getting the job done.
Yeah, but you got to watch Tulane, UCF, because if Penn State ends up in the Cotton Bowl, they're playing that winner. Also, keep an eye on Penn State, Michigan, Clemson, UNC, obviously. So a lot of fun to watch.
Tom, you get to watch that Michigan team that you said is old-style football. They got to play Purdue to get to that.
Purdue will be throwing it all around the park.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that initial opening win against Purdue doesn't look so bad, does it? They made it down in the West.
Nope. And you know, you got to play them. Everybody thinks it's going to be a piece of cake, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, well, you know what? In addition to television, we're in the networking business with our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com. We're connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers. Our goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. And if you haven't noticed yet, I have a lot to share with you when it comes to college football. It doesn't all fit into a neat, tidy 30-minute window. Make sure you check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web-exclusive content. Some extra incentive to check out the website. I think Jay came up with the format. Next weekend, we start our Pride Picks playoffs. Going to be a lot of fun. 3 different categories. Yep. Kids and family.
Yep.
Pets.
Yep. And then, general fan.
And then general, okay.
So 3 divisions, just like the World Cup. We're going to have 3 pools. And there will be 3 winners.
It's harder than the college football playoffs.
3 winners, and then there'll be a wild card, and then we'll have a final.
And end of the story, go to the website and vote. All right?
Starting next week.
You can help decide. All right, for Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.